You're listening to the Orchestra Teacher Podcast.
Welcome to the Orchestra Teacher Podcast. This is Dr. Charles Laux, and happy summer to y'all. This is our second podcast of the summer, and really excited to bring this to you. We have a fantastic guest. This is Nicole DeGuire, and she is coming to us from Indiana, and she is the Assistant Orchestra Director at Carmel High School in Indiana. And welcome, Nicole, to the Orchestra Teacher Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah.
Happy summer to you as well.
So great to see you, and looking forward to catching up a little bit. You had a whole bunch going on this summer, and we were talking a little bit before we started recording about, you get that mindset of, okay, I'm on summer break and I'm going to relax, and then you have not this summer.
Yeah. We, this year, I'm not sure, I would assume a lot of other teachers felt the same. This year kind of feels like the first where everything has been back, kind of, to use the phrase, normal.
Normal, yeah.
Where we were teaching to the bitter end. I think, our band friends down the hallway were making fun of us because we were still, sight reading and playing tunes with the kids up through the second to last day of school.
Great.
So they were playing and everything. And we kind of closed out the school year, and you get, like you were saying, you kind of get in this mindset where you're finally like, okay, I can relax and I can do things at home that I haven't done, or, catch up with these people. And then it's quite the opposite. So
sometimes, yes.
Yes. So this year we had, I think, like a week or two where we were kind of off, but still doing things at school. And then we went out to Chicago. Our symphony orchestra is one of the selected performers for the Midwest.
Fantastic.
Clinic.
Yay.
So we're very excited. The kids are very excited about that. So we went up for the directors meeting, left here on that morning of the 8th, I think around 5 a.m.
Okay.
Drove up to Chicago, had the directors meeting, saw the spaces, got to see some of our dear friends and make some new ones. And then headed right back.
Oh, in the same day.
The same day.
You didn't even stay overnight. Wow.
Nope. We finished packing, and then we got to the airport about 4 a.m. the next day and flew out to Denver. So Tom Chen, Maggie Height, myself, all did the conducting symposium, the orchestral conducting symposium.
Oh, wow.
At CU Boulder.
Nice.
So,
and tell us a little bit about that. How long was it, and what did you do?
Yeah, it was just under a week. And
okay.
We got to work with Gary Lewis is the one who hosts this every year. Phenomenal conductor. And then we also had the opportunity to work with Don Schleicher. He's at Northwestern right now. Fabulous conductor as well.
Yeah.
Clinician and educator. So it was really great to work with him. And so it was kind of one of those moments where you're like, not dreading isn't the word, but you're ready for a little bit of a break, and then you have to go into student mode. So
right. Yeah.
But it was so amazing. And I think all of us learned so much, and it really it was the perfect way to start the summer.
Great.
It gives you a little bit of, excitement and joy looking forward to the fall. And
for sure.
Definitely, I feel like we took away a lot of strategies and, things that we could take back into the classroom when we head back.
That's good. So then did you guys all plan to do that conducting symposium before the Midwest selection, or was it like, oh, we're going to Midwest, let's do this thing for like a little more PD?
No, we actually had planned, I think around February. I was out in California presenting at their the California All-State Music Educators Conference. And so Maggie texted in our group chat and said, hey, I registered. Will you, please do this with me to Tom and myself. So we registered, and Tom had done it last summer.
Okay.
And Geoffrey Meyer was the clinician.
Yeah.
He loved every moment of it. And so he was kind of the one who was just like, this would be so fun to do, like the three of us together.
For sure.
So we ended up doing it.
Yeah. And so what are some of the, go ahead.
I was just going to say, then we found out that the Midwest thing was happening on the 8th, and we were trying to decide, like, do we fly out of Chicago? Do we come back? So it was a little tricky. So we had another one of our dear friends that was attending the symposium with us as well. So we all four flew together. So
nice. That's fantastic. Great. Yeah. That's great when you get to go with some friends and make it social and professional at the same time. That's right. So tell us.
And it was really nice because the clinicians, they kind of spoke and tailor-made it to each of the participants. I think a lot of times when you have a camp or workshop like that, it tends to be all like here or
a little more generic.
Really so there were all types of levels. There were even though it was like an orchestral, there were French horn primary instruments that were taking part in this. And tailor made it to each one of us, which I thought was spectacular. So
yeah. And then how much podium time did you get in the week?
I felt like we got a lot of podium time. The first day, I think it was maybe 8 or 9 minutes that we conducted. And then the next 3 days were 16 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. That's considerable. Minutes. Yeah.
And then the last day was kind of, it was like 8 minutes so that you could get a run.
Yeah.
So you wanted like a recording of it.
Did you get to pick the repertoire, or did they pick the repertoire, or was there a list?
They had a list. So there were, it was like Holberg Suite, Tchaikovsky String Serenade, Dvorak String Serenade. And then we had 2 full orchestra pieces also that we did, which was the Haydn 104 and Beethoven 1.
Okay, perfect.
It was great. And also lyric, the Walker lyric for string was such a beautiful piece.
I don't know that one. I'll have to look it up.
Really, really great.
That's fantastic. And then, so did you play in the orchestra when you weren't conducting, or were you just observing, or?
So this year I chose, I've done 2 other conducting symposiums in Texas at University of Texas in Arlington. I brought my violin, and both times I played in the orchestra, and it was very, very helpful just to kind of play under other conductors, and then you kind of you learn that way as well. And this year, just because of how early our flight was, and we had to kind of kill time throughout the day before checking into like the house, I decided not to bring it. And I think I learned as much, if not more, this way, just being able to like really focus in on what the clinician saying to the participant and kind of make markings in my score.
Sometimes you step away, you get that, you get a different perspective than being like right in it. Yeah. Yes.
And I think, when you're playing, you want to do a good job for the person who's on the podium. And so your mind, I think, is elsewhere. So this, I like it, but I like doing both. I love playing, my degree were in performance. So that part is really, special to me. So the next one, I probably would do a little bit of both. And not book a flight that's at 6 a.m.
Yeah. If you're not a morning person, that's tough.
Well, I am a morning person. Just
that coming
you're
from. You're
getting older and like you've done the day before and the day before that. So, need a little bit, but
So I'm sure that you guys are really excited for Midwest and your performance and everything. Can you tell us a little bit about, the picking repertoire and what that like preview meeting's all about? So like those that are maybe out there listening that may be interested in applying for Midwest or to maybe know what to expect.
Yeah. So I think something that's really neat to me about the Midwest clinic is how it started. So it wasn't just like this thing where you just go and show off and here's my group, they can play this and they can fireworks and everything. It started, I think, as kind of a reading session. And so there's this really great foundation of educational, purpose. And so, yes, you can play some things that are fast and flashy and, very high level, but you also have to play music that is grade 1, grade 2. You have to have a whole wide variety of things. So the trick for us, is the full orchestra. There are plenty of full orchestra things that are, 5, 6 and higher.
Right.
Finding some things in kind of the lower grade levels is a little bit tricky, but I think we have lists upon lists. Once you get accepted, there are composers that will reach out to you.
They just send you stuff. That's right.
So you kind of sift through it, and there is so much great repertoire that is out there that is new, and composers are they're knocking it out of the park.
Yeah.
So
the publishers aren't publishing a lot of that younger full orchestra repertoire because there aren't that many full orchestras that will buy it. So it's that cost basis that they have and the profitability that maybe is lacking. And so, if you have a full orchestra and you're not at that grade 5 or 6 level, there's a lot. It can be challenging. I remember when I was conducting the youth orchestra here in Georgia, and it was the first full orchestra experience. So we were playing, grade 3 full orchestra. Yeah. Picking music for that group was the most difficult thing that I had to do, and I would say almost in my whole career as far as repertoire selection, because there wasn't that much, and the wind players were new, and so it's definitely a challenge. And I'm sure your kids, you're a high level orchestra, so they could play anything. So picking repertoire for difficulty is probably not the most difficult part. Just finding the accessibility, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. So that's good.
We really did feature as much as possible, our full orchestra, since that is what they were accepted. Or, we'll of course have some string pieces in there, but we're getting close. And that, that first, it's, I don't know, I feel like it's like gambling, like you're playing the lottery. The first moment that they give you, when it opens up for your
right. Like the portal opens up and you have to start typing in your pieces. I remember doing that.
Yeah, I had to do that. My hands were sweating, and you have to type everything in perfectly. And if there's a mistake, then if somebody else has requested it, but they didn't make a mistake in the spelling or whatever, they get it.
Oh, wow.
And then it tells you you're waitlisted for one of the pieces or whatnot. So, but yeah, I think we're getting close and
good.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, you have to pick so many pieces have to be published within the last few years, so they have to be. Right. They're trying to promote a lot of new music, and then like you said before, they have to have that for every grade. 4, 5, or 6, you have to have a 1, 2, or 3 to complement.
Right.
So it's a challenging process. It's not like let's just go out and play every great piece we can play. Right. You have to figure it out. So it's kind of fun, but it's also a little bit nerve-wracking too.
Yeah. And, the performances that I've attended at Midwest have been so wonderful. I've found each time at every performance, at least 1 or 2 pieces, that I wrote down in my little notebook, oh, this would be great for this orchestra of ours, or this would be great for, maybe next year, because how they're developing. And so we hope that will be kind of something that other educators are able to, sit in on our performance and be like, oh, I want to do that piece. I want to do that piece. So, yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, I'm excited to hear you guys this December. And good luck with the rest of that music selection. I know that you list a whole bunch of things, then you start narrowing it down, right?
That's right.
And then you have to have the timing and all that. So there's
we're really fortunate. One of our conductors is our middle school, one of our middle school teachers. So he is going to conduct one of his pieces.
Oh, cool.
The composer as well. So
that's really cool. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the kids will like that too, knowing that it's their teacher or their former teacher, That's great. Yeah. Well, great. And so then anything else? Do you have anything else planned for the summer? Or are you done now? Are you chilling?
Not really. I am going to do a new reading, speaking of new music, a new reading session, K through 12, grade 5, 6 music for the ASTA string teacher, the virtual summit.
Yes, that's next month.
Yeah. So that'll be a lot of fun. I'm excited to kind of work on that music and present that.
Great.
And then I just recently have taken over the presidency for Indiana ASTA. So there will be a lot of work. We'll plan, we try for our state to get our members a chance to kind of socialize and talk with one another and see one another. So we're planning a social in July as well.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So, so I think there's a lot of stuff that's happening. But I will be ending the summer with a trip to Disney. So, good friends. There used to be a program for musicians actually called the All-American College Orchestra or the All-American College Band.
Okay.
So it took place during the summers ages ago. And musicians could go and they would be part of this program and they would play at Disney, but they would also, have not necessarily like classes, but they would learn about like the finances and, how to make it as a musician, basically.
That's great.
And so this friend kind of started a reunion orchestra, an alumni. So from all the years of those ensembles, he made a All-American College Orchestra reunion. So every 2 years. And so we were driving to a gig together and he was, planning and doing some work. And he's like, oh man, I really need another violinist for this. Do you want to play? And I was like, well, when is it? And as luck should have it, I was going to be in Disney at that time anyways. And I was like, yeah, sure. I'll play.
That's cool.
So now I'm kind of a little honorary member and tend to go and do it every 2 years.
That's fun. That's fun.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. So, and then you start school, mid-August or late August?
Nope. August 1st.
Oh, you start August 1st as well.
We do.
I do too.
First. We used to start later, but that's because we didn't really have a fall break. We got a fall day.
Okay.
But they have now changed it and we get a whole week off for fall break in October.
Isn't that the most amazing thing? Yeah. Or don't you like it?
I love it. Yeah. I will never turn down a break. I think for me, like in October, I feel, and that early in October, I feel like the kids have so much momentum and you're building and, you've probably just had your fall concert or you're getting ready to have a concert. So I don't know, like for me in that regard, I feel like I could keep going for a little bit. And I don't know, I would take a week in February because February is awful.
Okay. Yeah. So in my district, we have our fall break, which happens in the third week of September. So we only go like 7 or 8 weeks and then we do a break. And then we have the next 7 or 8 weeks and we have Thanksgiving week off.
Okay.
And we have a few weeks, we have Thanksgiving week off. And then we come back in January, we have President's Day week in February off as well.
A whole week?
A whole week in February. And then we have our
in your school district.
I know. And our spring break is the first week of April. So
that's similar to.
Yeah. And so the nice part is for me and for family is that you get breaks at kind of odd times when not everybody's on break. And so that helps, vacation planning and just time. But it's also nice because I feel like the kids never get totally burnt out and the teachers don't get totally burnt out. And I do agree with you, though. The momentum sometimes you're like, we're on break. And then, right before the break, the day before the break, it's like shut down or kids leave early for the break. Yeah. And then when you come back, it's like, okay, kids, here we go. We gotta start rolling. And it takes a little while. So I do agree with you that it may interrupt things a little bit, but I'm a big fan of not getting burnt out. So
I'm a big fan of that. So, like I said, I will never turn down a break.
Yeah. So, well, that's very cool. Okay, so you're going back to school in July, essentially.
August is our first.
That's your teacher. Oh, see, my first teacher day is July 26th.
Boy.
So early. Yeah, our first day with kids is August 1st.
Okay.
Yeah, so I know.
Wow.
It's what it is. But everybody has pretty much the same number of days. It just depends on how they're spread out.
Just how they're spread out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what if you're in Carmel, Indiana? It's a really affluent area. Great parent support, great district support, great facilities. What are some of the things that you're seeing in either in your area or music ed that maybe concerns you a little bit, or have you seen that has challenged you? Because you're gonna have different challenges than someone who's teaching in inner city school or in an area that's not as affluent. But everybody has different challenges, and I was just curious to see what some of the challenges you have are.
So recently, I think, and we of course will always support the students, but something that has been maybe a challenge for us that we're seeing, because Carmel is so great, and because of the support both from the parents and administrators and other teachers, we are able to offer the kids a lot of different classes that are interested in their senior year. And I'm sure this is similar to probably other schools as well. If they have completed, X amount of credits and whatnot, they can have a senior schedule. So they have
early release or they, show up late. So a lot of kids are, they're so driven and motivated. So a lot of kids by their senior year, they are maybe, doing some job shadowing in a medical facility, or they are leaving to work, start like a shift early so that they can save money for college. Just so many things, or just studying. Right.
So right now what we find is there are some students who, maybe do orchestra their freshman year, but then they don't want to continue it because they want to take another class, something, a different elective. And like I said, there are so many classes that they can take. Really hard. Now, sometimes we have a little chat with the students because, it's great to have orchestra all 4 years, and they learn so much their first year. So it would be, and of course we would love to continue because we see, long term. So sometimes it's really simple, and just having that, one-on-one conversation with the kiddo. They are like, you know what, I didn't think about that. So I'm going to stick with it. So we're pretty lucky where we are, that we don't have, some of the challenges that other school districts kind of nearby will experience. They are looking, I don't know all the ins and outs and where we stand as a state just yet. But there is a lot of talk about redoing some of the graduation requirements, which would
negatively impact.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I it's hard for me to fathom not having, arts, any kind of art class as part of a graduation requirement. And I know that some schools are just, like foregoing that altogether, that you don't need that at all. And, but I've had some of the same challenges with particularly with some upperclassmen, that want to take other classes or want to leave early or want to do this or that. And, but I've also had some good luck in talking with them, and a few weeks go by and then they'll come back and Dr. Laux, I really think I made a mistake. We should, I'm like, yes, I got that.
Yeah.
I got you. So it's really nice to see that. It doesn't happen with everybody, but, every student matters to me, and definitely, want to keep as many kids involved. And I tell them, I said, a college recommendation letter from a teacher that you've had for 4 years means a lot to colleges as opposed to someone that you've only known for a year or two. So,
I think a lot of colleges look at also, they know how much time is involved with, doing orchestra. And so I think that shows them a lot of, that the student is committed and they're responsible. They know how to manage their time.
Yes.
They know how to be part of a group and kind of function. Kids learn a lot more than just, this is F sharp.
Right. I mean, and that's the thing. And I think, workforce and colleges, need to look at those type of things, like, okay, you have a kid with a 4.5 GPA and a kid with a 4.0 GPA. The 4.5 kid didn't take any arts classes, but they got that because they took an extra AP class or 2 or 3 or whatever. But you have your other student who has learned collaborative skills and who has learned all those life skills that you learn in orchestra, right. band, chorus, music, arts. It makes a huge difference, and
it does.
And you can't really quantify that so well, with the exception of it's on your transcript, but it's not really showing. And so we're working on trying to get a what they call a quality point for orchestra, so our kids that are in the top ensembles can do some extra work and then get that weighted grade for orchestra. But it's been a challenge to get that through, and I know that several of our teachers are working really hard to try to get that passed through our district, and then I guess maybe even to the state, I guess. But that might be a little bit more of an enticement for them to like, okay, now I can get a weighted GPA or graded grade for orchestra. Not going to hurt my GPA,
Right.
So we'll see. But I get it. And I have quite a few of those students as well. Yeah. So how about some of your wins? What are some of the wins in your program or in your teaching strategies, or some things that just click and work for you? And maybe some things that maybe you've presented on, or I don't know. Just trying to pick your brain for some of the things that you feel like that you do that connects with students or just works. Some strategies maybe.
So I guess for me, we don't see the wins but once a week.
Okay.
We have 2 full orchestras, and so
2.
We do. Yeah.
Are they both level 6, or is 1 to 5, 1 to 6, or how?
One is a little bit lower.
Okay.
Symphony, for example, is the one that is going to be at Midwest. And then Philharmonic, which is the group that I'm lead teacher for.
Great.
Both of the orchestras were in state finals, so they're both state finalist orchestras.
Nice.
Indiana State School Music Association. So
fantastic.
So both great orchestras. So it's really hard, I think, and I'm sure you agree, when you see a set of kids once a week. And it's in the evening. It's after school. They're tired. A lot of these kids.
So you're meeting right after school?
We meet from 6:30 to 9.
Okay.
So we're done with school at 4:05. So there's kind of like this tiny word.
Yeah, there's a window. Yeah, for dinner and rest. Yeah,
a little bit
homework.
Yeah. And a lot of these kids, the wins are in marching band, and we have a phenomenal marching band.
I remember hearing about that. They do BOA style.
They do.
Very competitive and
champions. They've been finalists, just really, really high level.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, obviously, a very high level concert band setting that we have as well. So getting to know them, I think, is really important. So if you have that foundation and you know the kids, or you show interest in these kids, that's how you get stuff done. Otherwise, it's just like, I'm sitting in your room from 6:30 to 9. So we do, I try to do where like when we start full orchestra. So a lot of times we'll use that first hour as sectionals. So the strings will work with someone, and then maybe two of the teachers take, one takes the winds, one takes the brass.
Right.
And so that we have kind of smaller, so we get to know the kids that way.
Mm-hmm.
And we start full orchestra, I make them leave their seat for a moment to, meet somebody from the string section, because a lot of times they don't know one another.
Yeah, great.
And I feel like it's very important to know one another, because you can build on that, and it's easier to kind of work together as one, rather than just, not knowing them. We also do things, we have we have an orchestra council, which functions kind of like a student council for orchestra. So we have leaders, and they plan activities. So we have like a bowling night. We have a variety show, so where they could sing or they could juggle, do taekwondo.
Cool.
And we host a Halloween party, and just a lot of non-musical
things.
activity.
Yeah.
So
those build the community. And from what I understand, just hearing about your program and over the years, like the community that you have in your school and in your program is really strong.
Yeah.
And those kids stick together.
It's so nice. And I wish I had something like that now. I didn't have a orchestra program growing up.
Okay.
For a few years, and when it came time for it to go to the high school, they cut it. So they didn't want to hire a teacher.
No way. Okay.
It was really, really sad. But good news, my school district now has 3 high schools and pretty good orchestra program happening.
Now, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Rochester,
New
Michigan.
York. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Michigan.
Oh, Michigan, Rochester, Michigan. Yeah. Okay.
But I did go to Rochester, New York for my master's. So.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Transplanted.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just so nice to see the kids get to know one another, and we'll do like question of the day. So it'll be, turn to your stand partner, the person next to you, or go find somebody who, whose favorite, breakfast food is a waffle, or go find somebody whose favorite food is a pancake, whatever.
Yeah. Cool.
So just little ways to get them kind of up and moving and meeting people, and seeing with some of the questions maybe that we ask, they get to see like how many people share that common interest or
even though you only have rehearsal once a week with the full orchestra, taking that time to invest in the community will, I would say, reap rewards for a long time, at least for that school year, and then beyond probably. So that's fantastic. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you're a violinist. And when you started doing full orchestra, or how long have you been doing full orchestra?
Ever since I started teaching high school.
Okay.
So I think, so my first job was actually teaching general music and choir for 3 years.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah. And so after that, it was kind of funny because my dream job was always teaching middle school. I thought that was like where my heart was.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I had taken a couple of interviews for, a couple middle school jobs, and I didn't get them. And then, you kind of start thinking like, okay, I've been teaching elementary school for 3 years, but like, I really want to teach, strings.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a high school job that came open, and I was like, okay, well, let me see what happens or whatever. And I got the job on the spot.
Wow.
I was just like, okay, well, I loved teaching elementary school, so I'm, hopefully I'm going to love this. And I loved teaching high school. And then one of my friends within that first year that I was teaching orchestra, she had me come out and work with her 7th graders. And I was like, I can't wait to do this, and and then I started, and I was like, oh my gosh, I am going back to, my kids tomorrow. I'm going to tell them I'm never leaving them.
I'm so glad I'm teaching high school. Yeah. Okay, cool.
So But part of the reason actually I was hired was the school had been open for 1 year before, and the teacher didn't really want to do full orchestra, which is fine. But it's something that I was pretty passionate about. And so that was part of the reason they actually hired me, was to get a full orchestra going.
That's cool.
So, and eventually a few years down the line, I got them into state finals as well. Nice. So it was really fun. And I had a really great supportive friend who taught band.
Okay.
And he would come over when we first started the full orchestra, so that he could kind of help with the winds and, do technicals if needed. And it was really important to him. And so his philosophy is that is where his leaders are born. That's what
good.
So it kind of helps while he sends out those top tier kids to come over and play. Then, while when he's in band, he gets to kind of, work with the kids maybe who, because you're sitting like 16 clarinets.
Yeah.
And like the best two, leave, and then you kind of, work with those kids. So you're level of your wind ensemble. And then those other kids are getting this opportunity to learn different repertoire, that
and play as soloists.
Yeah. So that was kind of his philosophy. So he was a big supporter of that. So ever since I started teaching high school orchestra, I've done some manner of full orchestra, and I love it. I love it.
It's wonderful. So have you ever had a band director who hasn't been as supportive of full orchestra as you would have hoped? Or you've been fortunate? Okay.
Yes.
Uh-huh. And so that what I mean, were you able to work through that and get the kids to come and play, or was it just kind of shut down?
We still did it. It used to be something when I was at before Carmel. It was something that we actually did during the school day.
Okay.
And so this newer band director just kind of changed. He didn't really believe in full orchestra. He thought it should just be extracurricular. And so I ended up doing it in the evening. I switched. That's when I made it over to evening rehearsals. No surprise, the kids loved it. They wanted to be there. They had a lot of fun. And it worked out really, really well.
That's good. It's a shame when band directors don't realize the potential that it has to make their band better.
Yeah.
And their leaders stronger, like you said, and then giving them, if it's during the school day, giving them the opportunity to work with the rest of the band that's not the leaders and hopefully bring them up.
Right.
So it's really unfortunate when that happens, because it's such a positive thing for the students, but also for the program, for the school. And, what other ensemble, it's the most revered ensemble of all ensembles, honestly, is the full symphony orchestra.
Absolutely. So, I think, yes, it's sad, but I think we're programmed as orchestra teachers to find a way to, make it happen. And so where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah. Yeah. But, it's crazy though that, they think some band directors will think that they're giving up a rehearsal, and in fact, when this is the time to grow,
Right.
Yeah.
There's something about, like they want to hang on to their kids and it's time out of their classroom, which I understand. But also what they're going to be gaining from, the difference of repertoire, playing as a soloist, and, getting to work with other, musicians. And I don't know, there's just so much to gain from.
And then how many times are those, the band kids playing in D major or A major, and having to figure out, okay, fingerings for this, or the instrumental tendencies. So it just expands their palette, so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that gives the orchestra kids, the string kids, a real treat and something to look forward to.
Yep. Different, listening to different things and lots to learn from that.
Very cool. Well, this has been so great. I appreciate you being willing to come on and talk about some of your experiences. And we're, like I said, looking forward to hearing you at Midwest. I know it's going to be fantastic.
December 18th at 10:30 a.m.
Oh, it's which day? I'm sorry.
December 18th at 10:30 a.m.
Which day is that? Is that Wednesday? It's Wednesday. Okay. Are you the opening string group or not? 10:30. I don't know. That's fantastic. And you'll be in the big room probably.
375.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the big one. That's great.
Sure looked big when we went.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Nicole. I will put your contact info into the podcast description and on the YouTube channel so that if people want to contact you. I know that you do, presentations and guest conducting.
Yep.
Fantastic.
All of the things.
All of the things. But yeah, and I hope that you have a great rest of the summer. And
thank you too.
Yeah, definitely will. Thanks to everybody out there for watching today. And again, thank you, Nicole. We look forward to seeing all of you guys on the Orchestra Teacher Podcast, and we will see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in. For resources and more information, visit orchestrateacher.net.